Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Mr. Dunning's dresser, to the studio, please. Mr. Dunning's dresser. What are you doing?
How you doing, mate? All right.
I'm all right. It's nice to see that you can dress yourself there.
Thanks,
you know,
I was merely adjusting my collar.
I know what you were doing, and on a very nice looking shirt as well, I have to say, mate.
Well, do you know what? You normally make an effort with a nice shirt, so I thought I'd join in this time. And as it turns out, you haven't today, so there we go. But
I'll have you know, this is one of my winter shirts, my little green winter number. There you go.
Liking the fact that there's sort of is it a little pink t-shirt poking through?
A little pink t-shirt, a little salmon pink t-shirt underneath. But for those not watching us, I've got a nice. I believe it's an an ivy green shirt with a salmon pink t-shirt underneath. There you go.
Check you out. You're looking very studio. You've got your specs on again as well.
I've got my glasses on today. Yeah.
You look like you should be designing cars for Saab.
I take that. Yes.
Looking very kind of, I don't know. You just look like a
Scandinavian designer.
So someone kind of creative but musing, shall we say? But anyway, don't know where any of that shit came from. Have you got a beer? Let's put this.
Yeah, let's have a drink. I think we need a drink. There we go.
Cheers, mate.
Come on, mate. There you go. Cheers, everyone.
So have you been busy, mate?
I think I mentioned last time that we started shooting the Mission to Mars virtual reality.
Yes.
Film. So we've been doing a bit of that. We were in the studio yesterday and a couple of days ago. So that's been interesting. It was very interesting because the studio we were in next door, they were doing renovations. Right. So every now and again we had to stop for strange rumbling drilling noises because they were actually drilling into the wall of the building. Ordinarily, I'm sure it was fine, but they were actually drilling into the wall about 2 foot away from my ear. So it was like, guys. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, number one, frustrating because the noise probably didn't help with the filming. And number two, when you've got a drill coming through and you're thinking that's getting closer and closer, it sounds louder. You don't really want it to poke through and go slightly too far and give you a new piercing, do you? So
it actually sounded like a tube train running down the side of the building at times. It was so loud. It was like, and we were going, the guys in the studio were saying, we're really sorry. We had no idea they were going to start. Yeah. We would never have scheduled a recording if we knew they were going to do building work next door. Well, it's just the vagaries of that thing. But apart from that, we've been doing the lines and rehearsing that, recording yesterday. We've got another day's recording to go. What else have I been doing? We've been preparing to record a lovely children's book next week for Listening Books, which is one of my favorite charities. I mean, not only do I love doing, the reading and stuff, but it's a lovely book about the plague in London, seen through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy.
You can't say it's lovely and then it's about something that killed thousands of people.
No, lovely is not the right adjective. It's a fascinating and educationally entertaining book about the plague, seen through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy called Daniel. So, and it's a short book. It's only about 100 pages, but it's aimed at history and London history for children with special education or educational needs, SEN. So it's not only is it fascinating to do, but it's a really good, it's a really good project. So I'm looking forward to recording that.
It's nice. I mean, I've obviously, I'm heavily involved in voiceover stuff and audio books. I'm thinking about. I don't think I've ever done anything children based. I don't think I've ever done any children's books, or I mean, I've just had or recently had. I think I mentioned before actually the script through or the the what's the word for it? It's not a script, the transcript. Like they're basically the book for number 3 in the series of the Wasteland Road Knights, because number 2 is coming out very soon. In fact, it might already be live now. I can't remember when he said it was going, but essentially, I've been sent the 3rd book, so I've been looking through that, ready to record that. And I've also been sent another book, which I'm doing soon. But again, neither are children's books. And I guess, do you get a bit more freedom with creativity on characters and perhaps more voices and things, do you find? Or
I think the reason they've sent it to me is because the last one I did for listening books was a very straight economics book. It was by one of the, I think she's a BBC economics correspondent, Darshini David, and she takes a very serious subject and she makes it very understandable for the layman. But it was a very straight, serious subject of world economics. And this one is great because, I mean, they've said you can make it, you have to apply. Obviously, it's a slower read, a slightly slower, very clear read. So they said, you can give the characters, it's London based, so your villains are all going to be like that. It's a bad Barnaby. Get the lad, so you little swine, you little blighter. So, and then, Daniel's going to be very sort of, mother said, I must make a quick escape. So I legged it down Cheapside they're nice, very clear characters that the children can identify with. So, I think it's clarity of characterization. And they are, they're black and white. The villains wear black hats and the good guys wear white hats. It's that kind of, the
very,
kids
very simple and straightforward. But I guess it's quite nice to be able to narrate that and to be given something that's a bit more lighthearted, albeit about a very serious subject and something that had very negative outcomes. It's still part of history. It's still something that people.
I mean, the lovely thing is that the character puts a positive spin on it. If only I can survive this, life will get better. And he does have a semi-happy ending. He loses his family, but he rediscovers that his mother hasn't died. She said that she'd managed to escape the watchmen who keep watch over. When a house was discovered to have the plague, they put a watchman in front of it. They sealed the door up, and people died. But his mother he escapes, and then his mother manages to escape. She hides out, and they're reunited at the end of the story. And then, whether there's a follow-on to the book, I don't know, but it's a semi-happy ending. So
spoiler alert, albeit too late now because you've told everyone, but for anyone that might go ahead and read it, spoiler alert, sorry.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. I to be honest, I doubt the children that are going to listen to it will be listening to Drewling Samantics, but there we go.
I think they should be.
I think they probably.
We should make our audience broader and have younger people in, as well as those who are perhaps a bit older and like we are. But yeah, so speaking of it, as I said, I've actually been doing some prep for my next audio books, the recordings I'm doing next. And I've also had a very interesting, exciting script sent through for a new feature film. So I've been reading for that, as well as you know, getting ready to go on tour in a few weeks. We had the wonderful Mr. Callan Durrant on the show. He was the last guest of last season, I think.
He was, yes, yeah.
I want to say in December, early December. I can't remember. But so I'm off on tour with him and his company. Just been sent through our itinerary of dates and locations and things. So kind of planning travel and accommodation and various other things with regards to that. And refamiliarizing, is that a word? Looking back over my script, because I have done this show before, but there've been some updates and some changes, and by the sound of it, most of them are mine. So I've got to get back on top of that. But yeah, no, I have to say I'm really quite looking forward to being back out on tour again, and being out and about and doing a bit of theatre, and obviously finished Panto 4 weeks ago. No, it can't be that.
Yeah,
no, 4 weeks ago.
Nearly 4 weeks.
And it's a month ago. That's mad. Where's January gone? I mean,
don't know, mate.
Obviously, I had the musical at the start of the month, straight after Pantate, so it was great, and I felt mega busy. And then it's sort of I don't know if you felt the same, but January's very much put the pieces back together, get ready to restart, and get things back on the road, so to speak.
Well,
and just
that month of Panto is so all encompassing, isn't it? Because it just starts, and then you just get through that, get to the end, and think, okay, I get my life back now. You know, it's like it's just this big block of albeit enjoyable. It's quite hard work, and then it stops. It starts and it stops, and you think, okay, where are we? And like you say, you kind of pick the pieces up in January and plan your year, you know, and
or as best you can, anyway,
as far as one can. Yeah, quite. Yeah. I was going to ask you, because we've just come out of essentially family orientated entertainment, and so I on the tour with what's Callan's theatre company again? Remind me.
Reflex Theatre Company.
Are they predominantly schools you're working in, or are you going to any theatres or art centres at all?
So this is an entirely schools-based tour. This particular, I was going to say, leg of the journey. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. This is the first. So we're essentially on stage 2. So stage 1, we were set to go on tour, and then we had a very unwelcome guest that came along and put pay to that. So instead of kind of going, right, stop, postpone, delay, whatever, what Callan and Reflex actually did was very clever, in that we moved the performance, or we moved it onto Zoom and did some recordings, and essentially created some materials to send out to the schools. So we had the full production, or we did 2 shows actually, but we're only touring one this particular time around. But so we recorded those in full through Zoom, obviously nowhere near the effect that a real in-person show would have, but it gave us enough material to put it together and send it out as educational materials, and sort of a precursor to schools to go, here's our show. Obviously it will be bigger, better, more involved, yada yada, when it goes out in person. Is this the kind of thing that you think would be useful for your children in your school? Would you like it to come to you? Use this as you see fit. Or there were sort of guiding materials with it, and workshops and other things to do with it. But it was more a case of, this is what we do. Do you want us to come and do it in person when we can? So we did that. That was a year ago.
Yeah, gosh.
And now a year ago, madness. Now we're at stage 2, which is where we're taking it out on tour for the first time. We're doing a schools tour. We're going around, I think we're doing 12 different performances over 2 weeks. And then I think from there, it will then go out as is it going to go to theatres? Is it going to go to other venues? Whatever. But this is almost, it's kind of, we've had the instigation bit where we've started it off. We've sent out put out the feelers and gone, is this something that's going to be of any use to you? Are you going to want it? And now we're at stage 2 where we're going, right, let's show you what we can do initially in schools, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Do you know, are you going to any of those schools? Have some of those schools picked it up, and you're going to do a follow-up with the live show? Is that
I think 50% at least of the bookings.
That's good.
From those that have sort of were part of the initial outreach, where Callan and
nice. It's nice to know that worked, isn't it? That Zoom actually worked, and that you can put stuff online, and schools and children will pick it up. Yeah. I mean, as much as that, you know, obviously then the live show, you know, and meeting the people that they've met on a screen, that's going to really reinforce the, you know, the strength of the piece. Brilliant stuff. I love that.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping in a way that as much as some of them have had the material, all of them have had the materials, I think, and I think some potentially had booked already, and it just happened that we couldn't perform to them that time. So it's sort of part and parcel. But I'm also hoping in a way that although they've all had the materials, I'm hoping that the kids haven't seen it. And I know that might sound back to front, but actually,
no, I know.
I think it'd be quite nice that the first proper immersion they get of it is us performing the show. And the show itself is is done in different ways. So we perform the show, which actually very interesting concept, and I won't go into it too much because we want to talk about other things as well. But essentially, the show is interactive because the kids follow the path or the story of one particular character. He drives the piece, and it's about addiction and peer pressure and things like that. But he has decisions to make throughout the show, and we let the children make them. So as the show progresses, we'll sort of get to a point, pause, the characters will freeze, and then whoever happens to be narrating that part or someone that's not in that will sort of come aside as an actor facilitator, as we're known, and say, right, this is what's going on. You've seen what's happening. What would you do? What do you think this character is going to do? What do you think is the right pathway, the wrong pathway? It doesn't matter. But so it's very interesting because the kids are involved throughout in that respect. It's also, I'm going to go with interesting again. It's maybe not the word that I first thought of, but interesting for us actors because we have to prep different pathways and different we've got different lines and different outcomes depending on what they choose. So it's one of those things where I don't know how they work it out. Mathematicians, you hear like, well, if you've got two choices, but then that's got two choices, and that so there's, I don't know, 1,000 permutations by the time you get to the end of all the decisions. So essentially, I'm going to tell people, we're performing 1,000 shows. That's how I'm going to tell people because that makes me sound brilliant. But
there was an sorry.
Go on,
mate. No, I was going to say there was. I did an old music hall sketch. It's called Witch Switch, and every now and again there was three characters. There was the butler, the wife, and the husband. And the husband was a bit of a swine. And it was basically the storyline should and every now and again the chairman, the musical chairman, would bang his gavel and go like, ladies and gentlemen, A or B, where do we go? Does she go with the butler? Does she go with the husband? And then they'd go butler, and he'd bang a butler, and then you do the next bit. So you'd have to go, and then you go back, and he'd bang his gavel again. Ladies and gentlemen, did the butler steal the pearls, or didn't he steal the pearls? Bang! He stole the pearls, and that does that. And so it was like, and then in the end, it always ended up with a duel. The butler and the husband have a duel. Whose gun fires first, the butler or the husband? Boom, the husband. And you die. And it was exactly the same. It was a lovely old fact. I think it was the Folder Rolls they did this sketch. So I know that kind of thing. You've got to know all, where they go.
Exactly. So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's also massively enjoyable, I have to say, to have that different kind of style to it. We got the show itself, and then there's a workshop afterwards where we talk to them about anything that they've seen, and we do like almost like a fact-finding mission where we have some research that's been done into drugs and alcohol and other addictions and other things like that. Essentially, so we can give them the actual facts rather than, we live in a world where as soon as something goes up on social media, people believe it, don't they? And it's probably considerably worse for children because they are, the generations now certainly are so social media based and communication through mobile technology that where does the truth lie? And I think these things are essential. It's very important to bring these messages across, but also you have to then be transparent and go, here are the actual facts. We're not just saying certain things to concern you, or we're not just making things up so you behave or whatever. These are the actual facts, the actual information.
I think, and children like that, and children like that. And this is the truth. This is the actual number. You can quote this number, this or whatever, this fact. I think as long as you give them that, as you say, there's so much out there that if you go, that's the truth, that's the facts. And then they've got obviously then they can take it on and go further with it. But it's funny, isn't it? Because we've gone from pure family entertainment to something that is highly educational, has to be entertaining, otherwise they won't learn. But we find that with we're planning half-term events for Jungle Monkeys.
Yes,
for the Jungle Monkeys adventure. And so we've got 3 or 4 days of taking the whole thing. But it's funny because in term time, at the weekends, the children want to be entertained, obviously, and the parents bring them there. And so it's very, it's a fun learning experience, but they're there for fun. Half term, it's going to be for fun. But during term time, you can put the educational element on. You can, and it's very interesting when the kids are like, we're on holiday now, we don't want to learn anything. Okay. So you kind of have to sort of backtrack your performance a little bit and rethink and we'll take some of the fact stuff out. We'll still give them the facts. We'll still give them that experience of learning, but they don't know they are.
They're not necessarily in the same frame of mind, are they?
No, exactly. They're on holiday. It's not
weird. But so do you get schools bookings then during term time?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I mean, we'll get a schools party, and they may be learning about some element, or they'll use it as source material to go away. It's like it's like taking your show into the school. It makes them think. It makes them go, oh, there's live people giving us the facts.
Yeah.
And it's like we're this is I've talked about the jungle a lot, but it is a jungle. It is it's actually there are rocks and things to climb over and caves to go through. There's a waterfall. There are animals to be spotted, things to be found, things to do. It's all very interactive and very hands-on, and it's to spark their imaginations.
Of course. I think we've said before numerous times, haven't we, and particularly when we were chatting to Callan, that children learn so much better, or a lot of children remember things better from visual learning. Sitting down and just reading things in a book and going over and over numbers and facts and figures and historical whatever, and it's all very well, but it can become very repetitive. And if you bring something into a theatrical setting, or something where they've been hands-on or involved, or just something that's different to the norm, then actually it can become considerably more memorable. They learn better from it, or they learn easier from it. And it's an invaluable tool. It's really useful to have this extra thing, and particularly now we are able to go back out into the wide world and do these things. And don't get me wrong, we love Zoom, you and I particularly, as it's helped us over the last 50 weeks, something like that. 48 episodes, mate.
48.
But it is 48, isn't it? It's things done in person and in front of you visually, like live, I suppose. Just makes a massive difference. And there are so many, I mean, and I have to say, from an actor's perspective as well, and I'm sure you'll agree. I mean, you've been in this game considerably longer than I have, but performing to children, as much as it can be really challenging and highly unpredictable, it's massively rewarding as well. It's very different. And I mean, we've just both come off the back of Panto, which is mainly for kids. Yes, there are lots of adult gags and silly bits in there, and it's a very family themed kind of thing, but the majority of it is aimed at children, so you perform in a different way. And I think even with educational stuff, you take a different step and you approach it in a different way. So just threw me then. I've just had an email pop up, weirdly, from Callan, as we're talking about him and Reflex Theatre, and all I caught was the first line, and it said something like slight adjustments to the script, which is brilliant because it means I've got to learn some more stuff. Wonderful. Anyway, well, I don't know that it's me, but it probably is. Anyway, sorry, completely off topic there. But as I was saying, I think from an actor's perspective, from a performer's perspective, you adjust your performance style and your delivery for a different age group. But
it's an attitude. I think it's an attitude of mind as well, isn't it? Because there are people who look down on children's theatre, and I think you if you're going to perform it, and work for children, and you look down on that, and you start patronizing, it's going to be very unrewarding for you, and it's going to be unrewarding for them, and it's going to be difficult. But it's just the wrong attitude. It's just an attitude of mind going, this is as important, if not more demanding than working for adults. Because very often an adult audience, if they pay, they want to be there. There is an element with children, if certainly at school, they're going, well, I have to be here. Am I going to enjoy this? And if you take children to the theatre, I know I worked for Polka Children's Theatre in Wimbledon many years ago, and it's still a theatre that, oh, hello. Look,
it's all going on today, isn't it? Your sign's taken a dive. It's all right. We'll gloss over that. Nothing's happening.
We'll leave that.
Anyone not on YouTube, Drew's home is falling apart by the look of it. But yes, no, carry on, mate. As you were saying, Polka.
No, it's a Polka Children's Theatre, and the children were there, but they were like an adult audience would go to the West End or to theatre. Children like, okay, we're here. We know we're in a theatre. It's for us. We feel important, and we're here to be entertained and enjoy. And once you were in that situation, it was, and this is not meant to sound the way it does, but it was working for an adult audience. You were working for that audience. They were important. And I think that ethos for anybody that takes working in children's theatre and working for and with children, if they take it importantly, that ethos is there. We were always told this is your audience. They're not children. They're not lesser than adult. They are your audience. Regard them as your audience. And as you say, you get the response was amazing. I did some wonderful shows. There was a couple we did that were pure entertainment, and then we went out on the road with one or two that had a very serious, albeit very well disguised with indie entertainment. It had a very serious message and lessons to be learned. And when we did the workshops, occasionally we did workshops afterwards, then the kids went, hang on a minute, I've just learned stuff, and you sneaked that up on me. But they were delighted by the fact that they knew stuff that they didn't know before. And they were like, oh yeah, because of that, and they went, we had a great time, but we now know that. And it's a little bit like working in the jungle. It's like when we take the children around, they end up and we ask them questions occasionally and they win their gems, their crystals. And they go, oh, I know that now. The joy on their faces when they know it, they've solved a problem and they get something to keep, they go away chattering about, and we get letters and we get responses and that from schools and families, and it's brilliant. It really is. But at no time, and when we wrote the script and we directed the actors, and we said, if at any time you think that this isn't for you, don't do it, because it makes it even harder. But if you ever think that your audience are not as important as any other audience you work towards, please leave now, because it's going to be tough for you, and it's not going to be rewarding for them.
And actually, I think although you tone your performance differently between children and adults, I think children as an audience are even more interesting because there are different age groups within them. Obviously, there's different age groups within adults as well. But I wouldn't go out and do a different performance of a theatre show if the majority of the audience were in their 30s to if the majority of the audience were in their 60s, because you sort of hit a point, don't you? And it's an adult audience, and it kind of that encompasses, I don't know, 20 to 90 or however you want to look at it. Yes, there will be, particularly with the immersive theatre we do, there are certain gags that will go down better with different age groups, and there are things that certain people will be able to identify with better. But there's nowhere near as much of a divide as if you're performing to 5-year-olds as if you're performing to 10-year-olds. Like that, it seems a minimal difference, but because children change so much between every little step of their growth, every new year group in a school, there's a different ethos and a different kind of their intelligence grows and their experience grows. So I think you have to, I mean, small example, I did a tour with the amazing Hobgoblin Theatre Company a few years ago. Brilliant TIE company that go out into schools. And for any fellow actors, performers listening who are interested in TIE,
they're good company
because they are superb. I absolutely adored working for them, and I did a Christmas show one year for them. What's it called? With Scrooge. What is it? Why can't I remember?
What, Christmas Carol?
Thank you, Christmas Carol. That was difficult, wasn't it? Jesus. But hang on, I'll just refresh the
refresh the grey cells, mate. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Whoa, now I'm awake. So we did Christmas Carol, and sometimes we'd go into a school and we'd do 2 performances of the show, sort of back to back, small gap in between. But we'd do, let's say, to years 1 to 3, and then 4 to 6, and it's only a few years difference, but there were certain things, certain ways you spoke, certain ways, certain silly things that you'd put in there that would work with one age group and not with another. So you had to adjust your performance slightly, and I think that's great because it keeps you on your toes. This show I'm about to go and do is mainly aimed at young adults, sort of like teenagers 13 to 16. But it will go to younger groups. It will go to the top end of that as well. But essentially, the subject matter it's talking about is more aimed at certain age groups where those things are starting to become more of an issue, or certainly become more apparent, shall we say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think working with kids is massively challenging. It's equally, if not more so, massively rewarding. But above all, it's so hugely important that we take the art forms that we love and do as a job, and we allow them to become educational, and we allow them to become this opportunity for young people to learn in a different way, and something for them to embrace and enjoy as well. And I've just got really, really philosophical and really preachy there, and I don't know.
I think it's very. I think it's so much more. I mean, it's interesting. Because I think there's a big. I think we're coming sort of almost full circle, because an awful lot of children, particularly after the past year, 18 months, that I think people are craving live entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were starting to more families, to certain people, families doing things together, going to the theatre, going to live entertainment was beginning to come very popular, because we've all spent a lot of years in front of screens, with our Nintendo, with any Game Boy, with all the video game systems and all those.
Sorry, mate, but just I love when you do things that you don't realise and you're showing your age, like. If we do have any younger people, or certainly it doesn't have to be younger people, but people immersed in the gaming world, they will.
Oh, mate, I don't.
I mean, you are you going to start talking about your Sega Mega Drive in a minute?
No, mate. I mean, I wouldn't. I hold my hands up now, mate. I mean, there are two things, and you're going to go, what? 2 things. I've never seen Star Wars, okay? Not a single one of the films. Never watched them.
Okay, that's quite a bomb to drop. I mean, I'll be honest, I've only ever watched the original trilogy, and that's mainly because grumpy's not the right word, but I don't like change. And I'm like, those 3 films are so good, I don't want to see the modern versions in case they ruin it. So I'm going to just leave it, my memories, as this amazing trilogy. But so you've never seen any of them?
I started watching, cut a long story short, we were on tour. I was on tour with a touring company, and I dropped the bombshell. I've never seen Star Wars. And they went, what? Okay. And we had the van that we had, the crew bus that we had a DVD player in it. And they said, right, you are going to sit here.
For any of our young listeners, DVDs is like when you download a movie, but it comes on this round thing that you stick in a hole and it comes up on your TV. There we go. Sorry, carry on. I'm just keeping us in touch with you.
We're in the van. We put the DVD on, and we got about 35 minutes into the very first Star Wars, and I was going, okay, this is what the fuss is all about. Not bad. The van broke down. we swapped vans on the A34. It was the new van the guys gave us. We were on the way to a performance, The new van they gave us did not have a DVD player in it. That was the end of me watching Star Wars on tour. So I've never watched it. I've watched bits and pieces. I've dropped into 20 minutes. I've never got further than the first one. I'm aware of everything and, all that. I'm aware of it. Of course I am. I'm a huge sci-fi fan. But I've got to the point now where I've never watched it. So I'm never going to watch it. There's no point. I'm going to leave it there as something. I may get into my dotage, which I'm not far from now, you might say. And one day I'll go, do you know what? Sod it. I'm going to sit down and watch the lot in whatever order people tell me to watch them. Yeah. But the other thing I've never done is I have never played a video game.
Ever?
Wow. And I have never stood. I've had a go at, and you'll laugh at this, but years ago, the arcade games, Pac-Man and whatever the other one was, shooting the little, where they came down, done that. Space Invaders, done that. I did an advert for Pac-Man once, but I have never
Please tell me that you were painted yellow and had to run around chasing people dressed as ghosts.
No, I had a big I was one of the creatures that were chasing. I was in a big foam yellow ball, and I was being chased around a track they'd laid out in Covent Garden Piazza by big JCB diggers. There you go.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
This is vaguely connected to what we're talking about because it was it was advertising the game for children. They decided that.
No, but screw that. I don't care what we've been talking about. You were dressed as a giant yellow ball, being chased by a JCB in Covent Garden.
Yeah. So whatever the creatures are that chase the Pac-Man or whatever they are that chase,
So Pac-Man is the yellow guy that sort of chomps along, and he eats the little balls, but there are ghosts he has to avoid.
Right. So there was a JCB, two JCB diggers with they were the Pac-Men, and we were the little balls that were chasing. There was three or four of us.
Is there any footage of this anywhere?
No, there's not. It was a big event. We did it for 2 days. We had Motorola headsets on and radios, so we were bobbling around and going, turn left, Drew, turn left, Drew, turn left, turn right, Drew, stop now. And then he said, JCB above you, and then it would come down and the grip would come down. And then it'd lift up. Okay, Drew, forward run, I didn't know.
Absolutely mental.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was
paid to do that.
Yeah. On occasions, you'd have what was known as a small child alert, and a little child may run out, and they were trying to get underneath to see what was underneath these balls that we were in. So occasionally you'd knock a child over. Okay, Drew, stop. Everyone stop running. And then someone would run out and rescue the child and lift the child out of the way. But there were hundreds of people in Covent Garden Piazza watching this going on.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental. But anyway, so we'll go back to our first sort of off topic. So you've never played a video game?
No. They've never interested me. I did try the table tennis game, with the balls at the side of the screen 40 years ago.
But anyway.
And I went,
Pong.
They never, ever interested me. Never. I tried playing, and it was summer of 95, 96, and someone had a Star Trek game.
Right.
Okay. And one afternoon, and I said to my mate, I said, I've never played a video game. He went, right. He said, you like Star Trek, don't you? Yeah, I like Star Trek, big Star Trek fan. Boom, sat me in front of him. And he said, right, away you go. And I got about 25 minutes in and nothing was happening. I couldn't make the characters decide anything. I wasn't picking anything up. I wasn't, and I just went, that's it. And that was the last time I ever sat with a controller, keyboard, whatever. Yeah. They don't interest me. They interest me from the art point of view. I've done voiceovers for them. I've watched them from the point of view of being the characters in them. But actually sitting down and playing a video game does not interest me at all.
Oh, how crazy.
Never has done. But FIFA and all that, no. Can't see the point.
Fair enough.
I mean, I can see the point, but I'm not interested. Never. It's never,
yeah. Whereas I love video games, but yeah.
I know.
So And we've gone completely off topic.
We've gone completely off topic.
As we always do. But all I was merely pointing out, as you were saying about sort of like the Game Boys and stuff, which would be considered now ancient technology, which is...
I know Xbox and all that exists. I know all about that, maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing was, like I say, we got stuck in front of our screens and playing the games. But, and I think there's a whole other element of entertainment for families now, which is taking them out to live stuff, interactive. I mean, there's so much interactive stuff around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's dinosaur shows. There's the Harry Potter experiences and all that, which are wonderful, family entertaining things. But it is the live experience. I think people they really want, whether it's a spin-off from a movie or a book or a video game, they're looking for the live experience now. And I think that's really exciting for us, because if you go and do your Harry Potter experience or Legoland or something, and the children are really enthused by going to see something live, then just maybe you might be able to get them into a theatre and sit down and watch another style of live show. You get them into the West End to watch, Matilda and all that sort of, and Harry Potter in the theatre. Get them,
it's a progression, isn't it? It's step by step bringing them into this amazing world of performance, and that not everything has to be done behind a screen or facing a screen. So, speaking of entertaining, what have you got coming up, mate, that's going to entertain you over the coming week?
Well, we've got another day's shoot on the Mission to Mars, the virtual reality. I'm recording this lovely, interesting book about the plague. I've got a recall audition. I'm going to an audition.
La-di-da.
So that's coming up. I did a self tape for that. I didn't expect the recall for various reasons, but for various reasons I did get the recall. And I thought, okay, great. So I'm not going to say too much about that because I don't know that much about it at the moment. But that's in the coming week, so I will be able to tell you more about that anon. And as I say, we're just looking forward now to half term in the jungle, getting our actors in and thinking about events and stuff for that. So that's going to be me over the next couple of weeks. What about yourself?
So I am awaiting a very exciting document, and I cannot say any more than that at this stage, but I'm hoping that will come through in the next few days or week or two, and then it will certainly be something we can talk about on the podcast. So that should be really exciting, and that's hugely cryptic, but it will all make sense when we get there. Aside from that, reading through this bloody email that Callan's just sent me with whatever script changes he's made, ready for the tour. Bit more voiceover work, a couple of other little bits and pieces like self-tapes, but also prepping for next week's guest. We got another guest. The time does seem to fly. And last week we had the brilliant Jamie joining us, Jamie Riding, puppeteer and pantomime performer, very, very talented young chap. And this coming week, we've got someone equally exciting, another hugely talented person joining us for a special guest show. And I couldn't be more excited, mate. I'm really
and also from another branch of the business as well, in the industry. We're spreading ourselves far and wide.
We're attempting to anyway. So, but I think we should raise a glass, Drew, to cheers to children's theatre, which is hugely entertaining, and to our guest coming next week, and to you sorting your bloody sign out. Go and deal with that.
I'm going to sort my sign out, and then I'm going to switch on my Game Boy.
All right, okay, yeah.
I haven't got one.
You go and play Pong in black and white, or Frogger. If that's rung any bells with anyone, I'll be massively impressed. But anyway, mate. Cheers to you. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, mate.
We shall see you next week with a special guest. Take it easy.
Have a good week. Till next week.
See you later.
Cheers, Sam.
Bye. Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.